And here we have it, the empty throne, the throne wars. You see, chapter by chapter, people's position sort of goes up and goes down. So I think right now I sort of have a good grasp of where everyone's position truly is. So without further ado, let me introduce this to you. The first, the bottom tier, people who are very at the bottom trying to make their way to the steps to try to get closer to the truth, or the top, that is the empty throne, or aka the One Piece. And the five that start off at the bottom are our friends Eustace, Captain Kidd, 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉, Trafalgar D. Law, Boa Hancock, and our boy Buggy. I know you may have questions about Boa. I'll answer them when we get to him. First, we're gonna start with Eustace. The reason why Eustace is not out of the picture entirely is because of everything that happened at Sabaody. Right. The thing with Eustace is that we know that he has some position in the entire world that is the One Piece. Right. He was a supernova. Right. Higher bounty than Luffy. Right. Even talked about celestial dragons, kind of knowing something about them. Right. Has a devil fruit that is pretty strong, but is also part of the trio that took down 2 Yonko. 3 Billy Baby bounties. I get it. He's not on Luffy's level. Not many people are. But the same thing about Eustace is the fact that he was even there to be even compared to him is interesting, right? And Oda has made it very clear, maybe not too clear, but he's made it very obvious that people who have conquerors, red hair, and 1 arm are pretty important. Right now, Eustace may not be playing his role because, you know what? Pump your brakes. We need to help you. We need to use you to help push other people, but doesn't mean that your time is done right now. So, a good example is Crocodile. Crocodile was way stronger than Luffy. He was a Logia, ruled the entire kingdom, a very important kingdom at that, in Alabasta, and he was taken out by pre-time skip Luffy with no gears. Interesting. But here he was clashing with Mihawk at Marineford, and now here he is part of Cross Guild. Without further ado, I usually put 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 next to Captain though. Captain Kidd. Oh wait, almost forgot. And one more interesting part about Captain Kidd being in this role is because of the ancient weapons. You see, Oda has throughout a couple magazines, right? He's talked about magazines, Viver cards, all those stuff. He's talked about Kidd being a merchant or weapons merchant or weapons collector. And it's interesting that the thing that Eustace complained about the most was having scrap metal. But now let's give this person who can literally make a robot like that with scrap metal, give him something like drunken iron ore. Give him something like an ancient weapon. Give him something like just being on Egghead altogether. Imagine that Eustace took the path to Egghead and not to Elbaf. He's not getting defeated by Shanks, but maybe other things he might be fighting Agora saying Kizaru. But hey, he has everything in his arsenal to possibly put up a fight with him. Hey, don't argue with me, argue with someone else. Because I'm a Kid fan and Kizaru fan, so we move. Talking about 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉. The reason why I like 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 in this spot next to Kidd is because Oda has basically used every single supernova at every single stop so far. 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 is the last one, and it's the most interesting one now. Because everything we've talked about and everything we're sort of diving deep and dwelling and starting to unravel and understand is that the Sky People, Sky Races, are way more important than we thought. You see, Sky Pia's position in One Piece was very interesting. It really had no conclusion. It was kind of like we went here, you left, and then it's just like, we really don't talk about it much, right? But Apu went there as well. Now we see 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 is there. 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 is also a Birkin. And the interesting about the Birkins is that Enel was also a Birkin, right? And Enel being a Birkin rose this flag in my head because the Birkins are very intelligent beings. The fact that Enel was able to put together this thing called the Arc Maxim and kind of make it run solely on his power reminded me of something else, right? And that was the ancient weapon that we finally figure out is Uranus. We haven't seen Uranus, but we know that it's possibly an airship or a spaceship that can rain down lasers, destroy an entire island, and cause the sea levels to rise. See, and that was very interesting because he made the Arc Maxim possibly from his own design and ran on his own power and had the power to destroy an island and make the whole island rise. So now we're interested. So now it's like, okay, so what is 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 all about? But the thing about 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 is that he's been in the same situations as Kidd. The thing with Kidd is that we don't really know where Kidd left after Fishman Island, but you know he went there to get to the New World, right? But with that being said, is what was his first island? I can't remember the 3 islands that were I can't remember the 3 islands that were specifically stated to go after Fishman Island. I know the one I want to talk about is Raijin Island. There's 2 other ones, but I think it makes more sense that Kidd went to Raijin Island because 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 kind of followed the same path as Kidd. If Kidd went to Raijin Island with his devil fruit, he was able to traverse the island and possibly find something on the island. And then why did Eustace and 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 both go to Big Mom's territory? You see, Hawkins was interesting. We kind of find out later. Beiji kind of aligned himself with Big Mom, but 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 went there, fought a Sweet Commander, and kind of just like left after defeating him. Actually, he was beaten and had to lick his wounds and leave. So it's interesting that why did Kidd go there? What did Kidd know to possibly send him to Big Mom's territory? What did 𝑰𝒏𝒔𝒕𝒄𝒉 know to send him to a Yonko's territory? And then right right after the time skip, we see that Kid, Apu, Hawkins, Killer were all defeated by Kaido. All defeated. But Rouge was right above Kid's secret hideout in the clouds, praying for Kaido on his descent after he jumped off the Sky Island. So it's kind of interesting that Rouge kind of following the same path as Kid. And then we're thinking, okay, Kid went to Elbaf. Does that mean Rouge is in Elbaf? Very likely so. The reason why is because, like I said, Rouge has been following Kid, and it kind of just makes sense. Unless we see Rouge go to Wano first, which would also be very interesting, but kind of... it's like a head scratcher. Why would he go to Wano? What would be the purpose of going to Wano now after being defeated by one of the three commanders and then Big Mom being defeated in Wano? And now he knows Kaido defeated. Is he going to Wano for something or someone? The something could be a Poneglyph. Someone could be Sukiyaki. And that's the interesting thing about Birkins, because they're so intelligent that Vegapunk's trying to recreate a lot of these things. And it's interesting that the Birkins were kind of building things very similar to what Vegapunk's already building. So if he went to Wano, it could very likely be for Road Poneglyph, because Rouge has the same path as every other pirate. I want to get to the One Piece. But him also being on Elbaf holds precedence, because his Delphu kind of makes him turn into a giant. He has giant-like strength, and possibly the tree that is in Elbaf is the same one that Ganfall talked about, talking about it is the tree that essentially it's the way of the high west or the high east, something like that. He said that there's another way to enter the Sky Island besides knock upstream. It's the way of the high west. It could be interesting that if that very tree is connected to Sky Islands, like Jack and the Beanstalk, all the way up at the bottom of the giants, at the top of the Sky People, right? Who knows? But moving forward, we have Trafalgar D. Law, a fan favorite, beyond fan favorite actually. He's probably everyone's, I would say, a lot of people's top 10. Devil Fruit ability, just aura altogether, and his lightliness, and the fact that he's been with the Straw Hats for to us, it's been 10 plus years. Obviously, the Straw Hat's a little bit shorter, but still. The thing about Law is interesting because he now has a purpose. His original purpose in life was, let me defeat Doflamingo, or his purpose in life was to defeat Doflamingo the entire time after taking out Rosinante, right? And he went about extraneous means to go about doing so. He saved Luffy in Marineford in order to enact his plan 2 years later in the future, right? So what is Law's purpose in this whole thing now? His purpose now is to find out what the Will of D means, right? He wants to know more about the true history of the world, which is interesting, because now it gives Law more of a motivation besides just trying to take revenge. So it unshackled him from the thing that kind of kept him down for so long his entire life. He's been to Zou, he knew about the real Poneglyphs and where it leads to. He's been to Wano, he knows about the Poneglyphs, he knows about Sukiyaki, and he fought Big Mom. He hasn't been to Big Mom's territory, but he's fought Big Mom. So now Law's in a very interesting spot because he's kind of put himself in the middle. Like, you ever watch Survivor and there's four people, there's one person in the middle? That's where Law is. And I put him right there in the middle on the purpose, because essentially, no matter what he does, he has a way to get back to the top. Like, he can easily, with his Dofu, can easily traverse vast amounts of distance very quickly. He can easily go back to these places that he kind of has a good rapport with, because Beppo can bring him back to Zou, that's another Poneglyph, and he's possibly near Wano still, he can go back to Wano. So he can lick his wounds there. And with that being said, it's interesting because now that he wants to know about the Will of D, and now that he was defeated by a Blackbeard, it makes him a free agent, but also he puts him in a situation where he needs to be saved, right? So when you look at it, when Luffy was defeated by Kaido and fell into the water, he was saved by the Heart Pirates. Now Law was defeated by Yonko and he fell in the water, he needs to be rescued by somebody, right? And he's put himself in a situation where he can be saved by a lot of people. I talked about him possibly being saved by Marines or the Sword members with Kobe, because he had interaction with Kobe with the Rocky Port incident. And if everyone's guessing correctly, Suru and Sengoku are kind of on their way to go and save Garp. And if that's truly the case, Sengoku has a relationship with Law, but now we have Law, Sengoku, and Suru pulling up the Hachinoso to possibly go save Garp. Yeah, the wheels are turning. And now let's move a little bit forward. We just have Boa. See, Boa's an interesting one because Boa kind of has me in limbo, right? She is a conqueror of Amazon Lily and has basically this island of women who all are strong hockey users, or at least adept hockey users, but she kind of has no place to go. And I know the whole love sickness with Luffy. But the thing about Boa is that she has ties to wanting to overthrow the world government. And the reason why I added Boa is because all these pirates all want to go to One Piece, but not all these pirates but a lot of these pirates want the One Piece, but not all these pirates want it. But other pirates have other means and other motives or other things that will motivate them. And one of the biggest things that can possibly motivate Boa is the speech by Vegapunk. Hearing that, oh, this is how the world is. This is what happened. X, Y, Z. And that kind of starts to turn the gears are in Boa's head like, okay, things are in motion now. I just heard about Luffy's brother literally assassinating King Cobra, and now there's people revolting against the revolutionaries. I mean, revolting against the world government. My love is now endangered by the very same world government. So these things are kind of putting Boa in a very precarious situation that she kind of has to move. And I don't think she's going to be a character that's wasted, especially since I talked about Amazon Lily possibly being related to the Nefertari D Lily. I think Amazon Lily in its whole Amazon Lily in its entirety are going to be put in a place. Sorry, I can't speak right now. Are going to be put in a place that's very interesting, that they need to move and they need to act. And Boa is going to be very relevant, especially her being a conqueror moving forward, and especially her ability. With the Gorosei kind of like being unaffected and being immortal, you never know. You never know. Boa might be the very thing to help beat at least one of them, at least. And let's go to Buggy the Clown. See, the reason why Buggy's at the bottom right now is because Buggy kind of always wanted to play the chill pirate. He wanted to have power, but not notoriety, right? And he was kind of thrusted into that role slowly but surely. Like, Blackbeard was methodical. You know, he planned his moves and moved his way up. Well, Buggy was like, you know what? I'm just a clown. I'm just doing what I want to do. I'm carefree. I'm doing what I want to do. I really don't care for the life, the luxury, the headlines. But slowly but surely, he's kind of putting the limelight time and time and time again, to the point where he enjoyed the limelight. He was used to it. He knew what to do when he got it. And here he is leveraging that, and now he became a Yonko with not just any Yonko, a Yonko that puts bounties on Marines, but also has the world's strongest swordsman and the very first person to actually want to go after an ancient weapon. And here we have Buggy. The reason why he's at the bottom is because now he wants to start. So Buggy's at the starting line where a lot of people are already close to the finish. But hey, like I said, Buggy feels upward and he's very quick. Right, he can build momentum very fast. And when I say fast, is that he has connections to a lot of Raja pirates because he was an apprentice. Connection to Inarashi, Nekomamushi, 2 people on Wano. Also, Momonosuke was born on Raja ship as well. Momonosuke as well. And now, yeah, there is no Kaido on Wano. And if you truly want to go after One Piece now, the very first place I would stop is a place that has a connection to the world's strongest swordsman because he's a swordsman and samurai. And a place that's connected to people that I know and hold very dear to me, because I was also on their ship when they were born. Not when Momonosuke was born, but also on the ship with Inarashi and Nekomamushi. So if there's any place you want to go to, it's Wano. Because not only is Wano the place that created Poneglyphs, but also the place that he's visited when he was younger, apprentice on Roger's ship. So if he wants to start his journey to get to the One Piece, the very first place you need to go is Wano.